Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, March 6th, 2025. This is live stream number 1162. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And recently, I have been devoting part of the show to taking a first look at games, usually tabletop role-playing game releases. And that'll be the case tonight, because we're going to dive on into Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory, Vow of Absolution from Cubicle 7 Games. Yes, little Wrath and Glory for us tonight. So we're going to dive on in, take a first look at that in just a bit. Should mention, if you are tuning in to check out the first look at Vow of Absolution, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 35 minutes before we jump on into that first look. So if you're watching live, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. Come on, it's almost the weekend. Take a load off. But if you are watching after the fact, maybe you're watching this on Memorex, there will be timestamps in both the timeline of the video as well as the show notes. So if you want to jump past the tabletop gaming news, certainly can. So keep that in mind. Those are available for you within about 15 minutes after the stream ends. Anyway, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live show, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 whole minutes in order to take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of those more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to be a subscriber and have been for over 10 minutes, you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, comment, fire away. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show and chat moderator, the Madman. Lona's Cave is with us, as is Semper Buffo, Sean O'Donnell, Mike is here, Glimwin RX, W Forge, and LJ Costanzo, who I believe it is a first-time visit for LJ, unless it is a secret identity of T.S. Luckhart from Cubicle 7 Games. I don't know, he's always popping in here with mysterious names. So it's probably not. It is probably just someone whose name is LJ, right? So there you have it. All right. So we are going to jump on into the news, because following a $4 million Kickstarter run, Legends of Avantris will be releasing the Crooked Moon Folk Horror 5e setting this summer. And here's the scoop. The Crooked Moon is a 632-page tome that brings folk horror to 5e, drawing inspiration from eerie folklore, legendary horror films, classic Halloween aesthetics, and more. Evoke true terror with malevolent monsters and mechanics in a campaign setting of eternal night, or equip yourself with numerous player options to brave the dark wood. Explore Druskenwald, a mysterious realm trapped between dusk and the witching hour. Investigate the isolated valley of Wickermoor Hollow, where superstitious locals adhere to the old ways. Those old ways are, they're never good. Never good for us. Maybe it's good for the superstitious locals. And of course, long forgotten horrors also stalk these deepest woods. Send shivers down your friend's spines with this chilling folk horror story, where a party of wayward souls must journey through the shroud aboard the Moonlight Express to uncover the dark machinations of the Crooked Man, not to be confused with the Crooked Moon. Become an omen of doom with the Green Harbinger Ranger. Harness the power of witchcraft with the Horned King Patron Warlock. Roll the bones and twist fate with the Sinner Rogue. Or dive into horror with any of the other over 13 subclass options for all core 5e classes. Rise again as one of over 13 lineages of Druskenwald, mortal souls reborn in the land of endless night and changed forever. Forever. Choose between the pumpkin-headed Harvestborn, the rat-like Plagueborn, the murk-dwelling Deepborn. A lot of born here. Hey, it's maybe it's the Born Identity. Or any of the other race options inspired by Halloween pop culture. Also includes a massive bestiary with folklore-inspired monsters, brand new folk horror-inspired player subclasses and species. It also features a full campaign adventure that takes characters from level 1 through 13. The Crooked Moon role-playing game 5e campaign setting is slated to land in stores in the third quarter. The 632-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $69.99. Yes, you heard that correctly. 632 pages. I think originally this was going to be about 400 pages. And then the crowdfunding project just kept rocking and rolling. The Kickstarter kept kicking. And this book has grown to 632 pages. Now, the reason why I said, yes, you heard that right, is because we have recently been talking about the cost of tabletop role-playing game books. And in particular, the Pathfinder NPC Core, which is something like 240 pages with an MSRP of $69.99. So, interestingly enough, these folks are able to provide a 632-page hardcover for $70. It's kind of interesting. Got a little Wicker Man imaging going on there, too. Yes. Yes. LJ Costanzo says you got to watch out for JC Costanzo. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Sean O'Donnell saying that. Okay. Tessie Trekkies with us. I don't know. I don't think I said hello to Tessie Trekkie. I think they're just popping on in right now. So hopefully I've said hello to everybody in chat at the moment. Anyway, I got to say, this looks kind of interesting. There is way more information about this if you want to go over to the Kickstarter site, or even if you go to the Legends of Avantris website, they've got a bit more info there as well. Mark Hawkswell and Troy Cornelson are popping on in. Might be a first-time visit in chat with us for Troy. The name's not ringing a bell. If it is, welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable. And if it isn't, welcome back. Make yourself comfortable. moving right along. Now available once again in print is Andrew Kolb's Wonderland for 5e. Here's the lowdown from Andrew's McMeel Publishing. Follow the white rabbit down the hole, but be careful where he leads you. From the award-winning author and illustrator of Neverland and Oz comes his third stunningly designed RPG setting book. In Wonderland, a fantasy role-playing setting, drawing on the books and poems of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by author Lewis Carroll. Andrew's third role-playing game book offers a dungeon setting and source book that leans into combat. Like his previous books, it will have secrets to explore and social interactions to navigate, but the change in setting and focus will allow it to stand on its own. And of course, will all be beautifully illustrated and designed in Andrew's signature style that his fans clamor for. This 224-page hardcover is available once again. It is back in print. I think it was out of print for a little while. I think it sold out pretty quickly when it originally arrived. I think it was November of last year. So nice to see it is back. You can pick up the hardcover for an MSRP of $35. You can grab the PDF over at DriveThruRPG normally for $19.99. It is part of the GM's Day sale that's going on, so you can actually score it for $15.99. And I should also mention, I just happened to stumble upon this on Amazon. And yes, I know ordering books from Amazon.com, it is a crapshoot because you never know if it's going to show up all beat to hell. But they do have it for less than $20. It's like $19.47, something like that, over at Amazon. So that is pretty hefty savings. I think it's to celebrate this being back in print, actually. It's very cool. Very cool. So Walona's Cave says it's also at Barnes & Noble. Very cool. Jose Fernandez is popping on into chat. Testy Trekkie says Neverland is an OSR-style hex crawl. Oz is an OSR-style point crawl in an Art Deco style. Emerald City in Wonderland is a cube-based OSR-style Meds dungeon. I would think they made medium-sized dungeon. So yes, interestingly enough, from my understanding, because I have not had an opportunity to take a peek at any of these, I know this has been a topic of discussion. People have asked me, especially recently, if I have checked out any of Mr. Kolb's releases, and I unfortunately have not. I would definitely be very interested because they do have an OSR approach, but they are, as far as I understand, statted for 5e. Kind of unique there. Yes. Kathy Evans is popping on in, joining us. Welcome again. All right, let's talk about a money-saving deal. Because Gallant Knight Games has teamed with Bundle of Holding for a money-saving offer on the Tiny Supers role-playing game. And I've got the deets on the deal. Hero! This new Tiny Supers bundle presents, you guessed it, Tiny Supers, the Gallant Knight Games Tiny D6 superhero tabletop role-playing game based on Tiny Dungeon. With stripped-down minimalist rules that are easy to understand and teach, Tiny Supers is great for all groups, ages, and experience levels who want fast and accessible super heroic action that plays fast and easy. I swear I almost just said fast and loose. No, that's not how it plays. It plays fast and easy, Jeff. This new offer gives you the Tiny Supers rules, the Gallant Verse campaign guide, and lots of adventures. Everything you need for fast and simple Century City superness. For just $12.95, you'll get all 11 titles in the Tiny Supers collection, which has a retail value of $75, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete standalone Tiny Supers core rulebook, the Home Handbook, Fallen Justice, Gallant First Campaign Guide, the Insectate, the Ray, the Resizer, Teeming Shore Part 1 and Part 2, as well as Tomorrow's Legacy. And also included is the debut issue of the Tiny Supers-based comic Sentry Force Prime, Issue 0. The total retail value of the titles in this offer, which are brand new, because I know the core book and I think the campaign guide have been offered in other bundles before, but the total retail value of these new items is actually $43. So all in all, a retail value of $75 for $12.95. These savings will run through March 17th. Yeah, since Sarah D is hanging with us, our other chat moderator who happens to be with us this evening. Normally I say hello to the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D early in the show. It slipped my mind. I'm bad. I'm terrible. I'm trying to see if I can get this show in under an hour or at an hour today. I'm sure I won't, but that was actually kind of the game plan. Oh, we are zipping through the news pretty nicely here. Got to say, I have never had an opportunity to check out Tiny Supers. I saw the original PDF of Tiny Dungeon, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. And something I've also noticed is I think there are some folks out there who have been statting Marvel superheroes for Tiny Supers. So I don't know how many of them they've done, but I did actually see some images of some of the very famous Marvel superheroes with unlike Tiny Supers character sheets. So I thought that was kind of cool too. I know. It's not official. It's fan made, but hey, if you're looking for a fast moving, easy to run superhero role playing game, this is certainly worth taking a peek at. All right, on to our next piece, because currently up on backer kit for crowdfunding is the Wild Frontier Adventure. And I've got the skinny from Oddity Press. In the Wild Frontier Adventure, you play as a crew of drifters, roaming a rugged, weird world with purpose in mind and gun in hand. On Venture, you can't run away from your problems, but that just means they can't run from you either. What do you do in this game? On Venture, you lead a crew, marshals, mystics, agents, or outlaws, fighting for survival and power in a ruthless frontier. Corrupt officials, profiteering companies, and warring factions tear the land apart while an unseen darkness creeps from the north. Bloodstone, the strange mineral that fuels industry and war alike, is both a blessing and a curse. Lurking behind it is the occult, the hidden supernatural truths that people refuse to see. Not just the forces at play, but the hell that's coming for them. Venture is a powder keg. Will you strike the match or snuff the fuse? The Wild Frontier Adventure is a character-driven cinematic Weird West role-playing game. Venture is a world built for Weird West mayhem, troublemaking companies, a corrupt government, the aftermath of a workers' rebellion, and the eerie power of Bloodstone. All powered by a fast cinematic narrative rule system, the Moxie Cinematic Toolkit, the same system behind Grimwild, which is still available to download for free. It's a mid-crunch narrative RPG with plenty of grit and high-stakes action. With Moxie, the rules are concerned with the dramatic over the realistic and minimize detailed tracking. It's a low prep for GMs with fiction seamlessly mapping to rules on the fly. Characters earn meta currency for chasing their own goals, driving the story their way. GMs get a clear, structured framework of principles and moves to run the game, while players' buy-in is strong with the crew creation system and creative freedom to add details. Action is fluid and fast, ditching the mechanical slog that plagues many systems. There is a quick backer kit video. It's a little bit more than a minute in length, but you'll get a better feel for the Wild Frontier adventure. So let's give it a peek. The project is over 600% funded already. You can reserve a copy of the 200-page The Wild Frontier Adventure hardcover for a $50 pledge. That does include the PDF. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so for a $20 pledge through March 25th. Expected delivery for the PDF is May, and the hardcover will follow in October. Should also mention there are other items that are part of this backer kit project. It is not only the core book, it is also some adventures, some dice, a deck of NPCs, and so on and so forth. So by all means, check that out. Now, according to the project page, this is going to be the only opportunity you'll have to get this in print. Says there's not going to be any retail release of the physical items. So I don't know if that means it's just not going to be available in stores. You would have to order it from Oddity Press itself, or if this is your shot at getting it in print and otherwise you'll be out of luck. I don't know. Kind of interesting. And I will say that I do know that Grimwild has been doing really well over on DriveThruRPG. And I did share some news about that. It looks to be a pretty interesting fantasy role-playing game. So this kind of strikes me as a little unusual. Kind of feels a little Deadlands-ish, I guess I should say. I don't know, that Bloodstone, Ghost Rock, Bloodstone. I don't know. Alan Rowe is with us in chat. They're popping on in the wee hours of the morning where they're at. And Christopher Lundgren is popping on in with his cockatiel buddy. Welcome back. So, gotta say, could be pretty interesting. Yes. Oh, I should also mention there is a 90-plus page. I don't think it's a quick start. I think it's a preview PDF. So if you are kind of curious about this, by all means, take a peek at that. Pop on over to Oddity Press. Of course, you know, anytime I share news pieces, the following morning, there are articles on thegaminggang.com with all the links that you need. So you got plenty of time to be taking a peak. So yes, the Madman and LJ are saying, yeah, quite a bit of a Deadlands feel to it. And I like Deadlands. I do. I think one of the drawbacks, though, with Deadlands is that it's kind of locked into this meta plot. Always feels like kind of like these things are going to happen regardless of what the player characters do. I don't know. Maybe it's not so much that anymore. But I know back in the day with all the splats that came out, like in the 80s and 90s, yeah, that had a serious meta plot going on. All right, let's move on to our final news piece because there's a very interesting looking new fantasy role-playing game, which kind of came out of nowhere as far as I'm concerned. It's landed from Onyx Path Publishing, and here's what I know about The World Below. The World Below is a game of adversity, heroism, terror, and awe. Your characters will overcome or be defeated by terrible beasts, environmental calamities, and chaos storms ravaging their surroundings and the souls around them. They will chart their journeys, chronicle their tales, and pass their stories down to their descendants, who will in turn become your characters when your old ones perish or retire. Expect threats and risks, joys and discoveries. The World Below promises a hard, harsh existence, but when the light of hope gleams in the thick darkness, it feels as bright as the sun. Unified only to survive. Gloom and impenetrable darkness fill the caverns of the world below, hiding beasts and predators waiting to feed on unwary denizens. Guilds form around the business of curating knowledge of safe spaces, finding food, and studying the world below. People equip themselves with what they can to survive, bedecking themselves in insect carapaces, woven plants, and silks. They arm themselves with fangs, bones, claws, and oars fashioned as blades and hammers. Deep in the lowest map point of the world below is the well, an endless energy source that generates violet light, purifies water, and blooms hardy foodstuffs. This well is guarded by entities known only as the well liches, who do not share their spoils lightly. The life spring of this well is called chaos, and it radiates out beyond the well lich's reach. When heroes raid the well for power, they find themselves with a dilemma. Do they keep the power to themselves or share it with the worthy? This 385-page hardcover with PDF is available now. It can be had over at DriveThruRPG for $92.99. It is the color hardcover. If you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do so for $29.99. Gotta say, this looks interesting. As far as I understand, this is supposed to be the first of a trilogy of games. So it seems as if there is some sort of a plot path involving this. Don't know. Looks interesting. Sounds kind of cool. So it is an underworld-based game. Gotta say, though, $92.99 for the hardcover and PDF? Yikes! As W. Forge puts, $92.99, is that all? Yeah, that's, I don't know. I don't know, ladies and gents. We got crazy prices hitting us. Crazy prices. And then, strangely enough, we'll see something like the first news piece. 632 pages, I think it was. $69.99. It's like, wow, that seems fair for a massive tome like that. Do not know. Sadly, I don't really have any sort of relationship with Onyx Path Publishing. Sammy has reviewed a few games here and there. In fact, she tackled the Oh, they came from, oh, I got to say it right. Hold on. They came from beneath the sea. As well as they came from beyond the grave. Christopher Lundgren says, I wonder what the cheapest role-playing games are out there. Anything that's free. Basic fantasy, even in print, very, very inexpensive. White Box, it's another that is very inexpensive on Amazon. So White Box, I think it's fantasy adventure role-playing. And of course, we talk about it all the time. Every time we keep seeing prices like $92.99, and I think it's $82.99 just for the book. But every time we see prices like that, I have to continually stress, keep your eyes peeled on the bundling sites. We already talked about the Wrath and Glory bundle that's going on over at Humble Bundle, which has practically everything for that outside of, I think, the 3 most recent releases, including what we're taking a look at tonight. But still, it's like $25. But of course, they're PDFs. So you got to be willing to utilize a tablet or laptop to be able to play games. So there you go. Christopher Lundgren says, a cool topic would be role-playing games that won't break your wallet. We did a show not too long ago where we talked about ways to actually get a lot of role-playing game bang for your buck. W. Forge says it is $87.99 for the color book. And they don't even mention that it's the premium color. I don't know if maybe they're doing away with that, because you would see with some of the print on demand for DriveThruRPG, where if it's color, you got the premium and standard. And even with the black and white, they would sometimes show premium and standard. And it was like, don't buy the premium black and white. Don't drink the milk. It's spoiled. How many of you out there remember the Little Rascals? And that is a super, super old Little Rascals. And Spanky and the kids are orphans. And I want to say they all live with this elderly couple. And the old guy is cool. The old woman is not so much. She's kind of a shrew. I swear, I always remembered the line as, don't eat the mush. It's spoiled. But it's not. I saw it not too long ago. And it is, don't drink the milk, because they're putting milk on their mush. They're cruel. And it's like he's passing the word. Everybody's passing the word at the table. Don't drink the milk. It's spoiled. So W4 says premium's $87.99. Standard is $54.99. Big difference between the two, certainly. Madman says they used to watch Little Rascals frequently. It was on after school when I was a little kid. Probably when I was 11, 12, maybe. It was on. They had Little Rascals every day after I got home from school. So, LJ Constanzo says, I can remember a bunch of the old black and white Rascals stories. Yeah, because you had Little Rascals and then they became Our Gang. And some of the kids changed a little bit. Some of them remained, but there were some turnover there. Christopher Lundgren says they need to find a list of quick start RPGs The fun way to sample RPGs before dumping lots of cash. A vast number of role-playing games do have quick starts out there. So that is not a problem. Also, loads and loads of starter sets, which are relatively inexpensive for even the physical starter sets too. So pretty nice. All right, so that is it for the news tonight. Of course, we're talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters all add up to help keep thegaminggang.com around. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, that's lovely. And this month, we got a couple of our friends of the show stopped on by and made not small donations. Yes, I'm talking about Joshua Edwards, as well as our good friend of the show and chat moderator, the Madman. Thank you to all of you out there for using those banner ads and or stopping by paypal.me/thegaminggang. It is much appreciated. All righty then. So we are going to be diving on in to take a look at Warhammer 40k, Wrath and Glory, Vow of Absolution in just a few moments. A couple of things I wanted to mention before we do dive on into that. First of all, we are in the second round of the Gaming Gang 2025 March Tabletop Role-Playing Game Madness. A lot of votes in already in the second round. Last I glanced, I think we're at about, for each of the matchups, on average, about 100 votes. It's not too bad, seeing that the round just started yesterday. Had to laugh because our friends over at Troll Lord Games are funneling people to it. Because it is actually Castles and Crusades going up against Shadow Dark. So we did see some big-time contenders fall in that first round. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Dungeons & Dragons 2024, which was not a shocker, especially with my audience. I had a feeling that was coming. RuneQuest did not get out of the first round. I was surprised by that. Yes, Pendragon made it through. Call of Cthulhu obviously made it through. I did want to mention, I was really surprised at how few votes the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game got. It was, I don't remember who it was going up against. It was going up against a solid contender, but it only got, I think, out of around 80 votes in total for that matchup, it got like 7. I was like, wow. I was like, oh, okay. I have no control over any of it. I cast my votes as a tiebreaker if need be. That's it. So if there is a tie at the end of the round, I will cast the vote to break the tie. But I don't even see what the count is outside of number of votes. So I can see that, oh, there's 110 votes in this matchup. I don't know how they're breaking down, though. So Gleeman RX says Troll Lords gaming the system equals fair competition. Christopher Lundgren said they think Marvel burnout might be a factor. I don't know about that. I would think, now I'm just pulling this out of the air. It's not like I have any inside knowledge. I would think that you've got a lot of folks who play role-playing games that are probably, not necessarily like firmly in Marvel's camp or firmly in DC's camp or independence camps or anything like that. I don't know. I remember I reviewed the alpha that they released, which was not very good. And I think one of the big problems I had with it was just rife with errors and typos and wrong stats for wrong superheroes and stuff like that. It was like, but they have actually released a good amount of content for it. So they are supporting it. I think they've got an X-Men book. They had, back when Kang was going to be a thing, they had a campaign with, I think it was supposed to be the Avengers, because Kang is, at least comic book wise, he is an adversary of the Avengers. So, but yeah, I think there's been 4 or 5. I think there's a Spider-Man Spider-Verse release coming out. I mean, honestly, I have considered maybe picking it up, because every once in a while I see it's a halfway decent deal on Amazon. And then I'm like, there's other things that I could probably invest in. Don't know. Christopher Lundgren says they can never get into superhero RPGs, but they went deep into HeroClix way back in the day. Yeah, HeroClix is cool. My nephew Cameron started playing that back when he was probably about 11 or 12. And then he would actually go to the comic book store to play in the tournaments. Problem with my nephew Cameron was he didn't pay attention to what the characters could do, right? So it's kind of like, you are going to get your ass kicked in HeroClix if you don't utilize the abilities of the characters that you've got as part of your team. I don't know. I personally never got into HeroClix. I think one of the reasons was because now I think WizKids does a better pre-paint on their HeroClix now, but 10 years ago, 12 years ago, sculpts weren't all that great. The paint jobs were kind of... LJ says they ran the HeroClix predecessor, Mage Knight, for a little while. Yeah, I remember Elliot reviewing Mage Knight, and he just couldn't get into it. Just thought it was too much busy work. But, I mean, we're talking the board game, not the HeroClix Mage Knight. All righty. So, did want to mention that. And then also wanted to point out that next week I will continue to take first looks during the dispatch. Although I might actually have an episode next week where we tackle a topic. Up in the air about that, not positive just yet. So, did want to mention that. All right. So tonight, we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory, Vow of Absolution in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't. Almond Joy's got real milk chocolate, coconut and munchy nuts too. Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut. Ooh. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Peter Paul, Almond Joy's got nuts. Peter Paul, Mounds don't.
Plus, now there's also a new Mounds with creamy rich milk chocolate.
Watch out where you throw those knives.
Are you drinking Wilkins Instant Coffee yet?
No.
Okay, let's try it blindfolded.
Feed me food.
Oh, take it easy, Dracula. What do you think I'm carrying here, my dirty laundry?
Where a man-eating, talking plant gives homicide something to think about.
I didn't do it.
Do what?
Whatever.
Ever see this man?
Man, sir.
Why are you so nervous? Oh, boy, you good, Audrey.
Oh, I guess I just have a good kisser.
Now you will do as I say.
Yes, master.
You will go out and find me some food.
Yes, master.
What's the matter? Don't you like me?
Too bony.
Too bony? Nobody ever told me that before.
Beef is better than veal.
Ah, you're such a dodo. What do you call this? Chopped liver?
And I've got a confession to make. I like the Roger Corman Little Shop of Horrors far, far more than the musical remake. Yes, it's true. I've only seen the Rick Moranis Little Shop of Horrors once. And it was all right. So W. Forge pointed out that that features an early appearance by Jack Nicholson. It does. He has a very small part in it. Gleeman RX is, where is he? Where's he at? I didn't see him. He was not in that trailer. So, like I said, he's got a very, very tiny part in it. But yes, I was... Yeah. Christopher Lundgren wonders if I get these old ads on the Internet Archive and what software do I use to download them. I do not get these off of Internet Archive. If I did, you would just be able to download it straight from that. You wouldn't need any special software or anything like that. But I will refrain from informing you where I get these. So I will mention, though, that I do actually go in and I clean up the audio and stuff of those. I don't do anything with the actual video quality, but I do clean up the audio on those. So a lot of hiss, a lot of background noise, things like that. I clear that out. So there we go. There you go. W. Forge says he played the patient of the dentist who liked pain. Yep. Who Steve Martin plays the dentist, if I remember correctly, in the musical. So yeah, I thought that was all right. I thought that was okay. All righty then. So tonight we are going to take a first look at Warhammer 40k, Wrath and Glory, Vow of Absolution from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. This 128-page hardcover is available now. You can score it with PDF for an MSRP of $39.99. You can grab the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. $2.99. All righty. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Vow of Absolution. And I just realized I did not sync up the cameras. Dun, dun, dun. See, look. Ah, rats. You know, I can actually fix that. It's not gonna change anything here. Yeah, because if I don't do this, it just looks kind of weird. Yeah, it's closer. It's better. It's better. There you go. Hey, it's a live show. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? Hey, So, something to mention before we jump on in? Well, a couple of things, actually. First of all, my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else is affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me sharing this coverage with you. And it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel for what we're going to find inside Vow of Absolution. So let's take a look at the back here and get ready. I am going to mispronounce a lot of Warhammer 40k related things here because I'm not necessarily the most well-versed in all things Warhammer. A definitive guide to the Absolvers Chapter of the Adeptus Astartes. Vow of Absolution is a detailed and in-depth guide to the Absolvers Chapter of the Adeptus Astartes station within the Gilead system and features a wealth of expanded lore, locations, and characters. Bound by long-sworn oaths to defend the Gilead system, the Space Marines of the Absolvers now find themselves the Imperium's last bulwark against the encroaching darkness. With their flagship vessel and a number of their brethren trapped in the Gilead system by the opening of the Great Rift, the Absolvers find their numbers dwindling as they desperately defend humanity in a system cut off from the Imperium's might. On Gilead Primus, the ancient Absolver citadel of Castle Grigori is alive with more activity than its storied halls have seen in centuries, as each chapter desperately recruits and prepares new aspirants. Elsewhere, the ancient and venerable battle barge Vow of Absolution is stationed within the Reach, holding back the incessant raids by foul orcs, the arrogant Eldari, and worse still, their own traitorous fallen brethren. Vow of Absolution introduces new Tier 5 Astartes archetypes, exciting previously unexplored locations, and dives into the mysteries at the center of the ancient secrets of the chapter. Very cool. So, obviously enough, it's going to give you everything you need to play as a member of the Absolvers. So let's jump on in. First thing we're going to do is take a peek at the credits page, because a lot of folks work very hard to bring this to life. Let's give them credit where credit is due. So we're going to get a breakdown here of the Absolvers. So it looks like we're going to get about 16 pages devoted to a background, the history. We're going to get into some archetypes, talents, and psychic powers. Call to Arms is going to be our gear. Ancient Rites. Bastions of Steel. Wonder if that's an adventure. Absolvers on Campaign. And that will wrap it up. The Space Marines of the Adeptus Astartes stand as the last line of defense between the beleaguered worlds of the Imperium and the ever-present threat of the alien, the mutant, and the heretic. Fear the mutant. They are the Emperor's finest, his will made manifest, his avenging angels of death. Clad in revered power armor and wielding weapons of unparalleled lethality, they descend on the enemies of the Imperium with stalwart conviction in righteous fury. Pete Strakulich is jumping on into chat. Very nice. Welcome back. Christopher Lundgren says they must be a weirdo for not being able to get into 40K stuff. It's just so dark. Sean O'Donnell points out it helps if you view it as satire. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's be realistic. So you've got different folks into Warhammer 40K. Not Warhammer Fantasy really doesn't, it's still grimdark-ish, but not to the extent of 40K. So you've got the folks who like are bathed in, the lore of 40K. Then you've also got the people who play the miniatures who, could take or leave the lore. They're more into just playing the minis. Those are the type of people you usually see play with armies that aren't painted. They're just primed. They're just assembled and primed. And then you have people like me who I find it interesting. And I was around when this stuff first started coming out, and I would pick this stuff up. I was picking up White Dwarf when all that they really had was Warhammer Fantasy, and they were just starting to introduce 40K. I dig it, but I'm not super deep into it. So I do like the premise of it. Some of it, I think, just takes things way too far. And yes, I get it. It was originally more of a satire, that it was sort of like, okay, this is so dark, no one's going to take this seriously. And there are some people who take it very seriously. So Semper Buffo says, true, very dark. So let's see. We've got the chapter master Anthon. So as far as Wrath and Glory, so Wrath and Glory is more of the high action Warhammer 40K role-playing game from Cubicle 7 Games. The newer of the two is Imperium Maledictum, which, funny enough, this weekend I will actually have a review of the starter set for. And that tends to be more investigative, a bit less, I don't want to say action-packed, but a lot more kind of like political in nature and things like that. So Semper Buffo says, lore is interesting. I've been playing for years. Their game master is very passionate about which is contagious. Yeah, that does happen. The enthusiasm of a game master really can wash over the players and really help the players to buy in, no matter what role-playing game it is. And you can tell watching when people are around a table, and you can see when the game master is running a game that they feel like they're obligated to run. And then you can tell when it's a game master who's pumped to be running something. So we got the Absolvers today. The chapter stands at a monumental crossroads. Fortified by the Primaris Space Marines, who emerge alongside Voronez's fleet, they find themselves more powerful and gratefully reinforced after the great sundering of the galaxy by the Citrix Maledictum. Yet unprecedented internal divisions confront them. Moreover, these fissures are not confined to their own ranks. They reverberate outward, complicating the Absolvers' relationships with other factions in the system. So the premise of Wrath and Glory is the Gilead system has been, a great rift has opened that has separated the Gilead system from the rest of the universe. So everybody's kind of on their own. And there are some gamers out there who just hate this setting, because the reality is you'll have the Astari and the Orcs and the Guard all working together to survive, right? So it's essentially, everybody's been thrown into this terrible situation and chaos is trying to destroy everyone. So you'll have traditional enemies working together. And some people don't like that. Some people are like, oh, no, that would never happen. That's, the lore wouldn't allow it, and things like that. To me, I think it's interesting because it's a setting that you wouldn't normally have for a Warhammer 40k role-playing game. And I also mention this every time we talk about this game. I got to say, I am so impressed that Cubicle 7 Games has continued to support this role-playing game, because this was not their in-house game. They did not create this game. This game was created by Ulysses Spiel, and they fumbled the ball, and Games Workshop took it away from them and asked Cubicle 7 if they would step in and actually take over this game, and they did. And they have released a lot of content for this. So we're taking a look here at some of the archetypes that we've got. Something else that I would say, Wrath and Glory compared to Imperium Maledictum, is the power level of the player characters is much higher, even at the start with Wrath and Glory. And there are various different tiers of adventuring. So you can have less powerful characters as a group on an adventure, and then have far more powerful characters on other adventures. That's why we're seeing the Terminator as far as an archetype. Game Master's Hobby is with us. Said they have a hard time GMing anything related to 40K. Lore in general, the equipment is very hard to describe to players not already having a master's degree in the setting. I could see that. I could easily see that. I will be very honest. I have never run a Warhammer 40K role-playing game outside of the starter sets. So I have run the Wrath and Glory starter set adventure just to have a better feel and to review the starter set. A lot of times I don't necessarily run the adventure that comes in a starter set before I review it. But I can see where you're coming from. I really can. If somebody has a halfway decent knowledge of Warhammer 40K, I could certainly see them buying into this pretty easily. But for someone who comes from, say, 5e, Pathfinder, even Call of Cthulhu, things like that, who don't have any idea about the world of Warhammer 40,000, they will kind of be lost. And I think a lot of the interesting aspects of the setting is also going to be far over their head, way, way over their head. Let's see. So Blanchestu is with us in chat. So there is some discussion of reading 40K novels. Oh boy, that is a cottage industry in itself, isn't it? There's a lot out there. Right, so we're taking a look here. These are talents and psychic powers. So we've got some new talents and psychic powers, such as Spirit of the Pack, Strength from Steel. We've got our requirements, keywords, You are aware of the frailties and weaknesses of flesh and have learned to bolster yourself by relying instead on your blessed augmetics. Once per session, you may ignore a source of damage that would inflict wounds equal to or less than the number of augmetics you have installed. So we got our psychic powers. We've got the mind raid. You reach brutally into the target's psyche, tearing secrets from their brain with such force that the weak-willed fatally hemorrhage as they struggle to resist your power. I do like the artwork. Very cool. Pretty nice. Now we're going to get into our gear. We've got lightning claws. The addition of a massive set of mono-edged blades attached to a pair of power fists. Lightning claws are so bulky and power-hungry that they are most commonly seen used in conjunction with Terminator armor. The Absolvers employ the Angel's Talon pattern of lightning claw, which is optimally used in paired sets, although a single lightning claw can be used to allow a ranged weapon to be fired with the other hand. Assault Terminators equipped with these fearsome weapons can cut through almost any material and are all but invincible in melee. In close conditions, a Terminator with paired lightning claws can prove unstoppable, easily tearing apart even the most dangerous opponents and providing a bulwark for their brothers to advance behind. However, in open terrain, the bulky armor and long claws make for a slow turning arc, and Terminators may require support to keep foes off their backs. Glimwin RX is asking if the miniatures game Warhammer 40k is connected to Wrath and Glory. Same setting, in essence. It's same setting. Different system. And when I say system, I don't mean rule system, because obviously enough it would be. It takes place in a system that is broken off, that this great chaos rift has opened, making it impossible to be reached from other places in the Imperium. So it's kind of its own thing going on. It's kind of funny because that's what you sort of see with Warhammer 40k role-playing games, is they tend to take place in a certain system or locale. Imperium Maledictum's kind of the same way. And it's sort of, I think it's sort of put together that way so that game masters can kind of go hog wild with what they want to do in their game and not feel like, well, they're beholden to the rest of what's going on in the big meta plot of Warhammer 40k. So, of course, we do know we've got the Horus Heresy role-playing game, which is going to appear this summer from Cubicle 7 Games. So that is going to be the third of the Warhammer, I guess Horus Heresy takes place, 10,000 years before 40k? So I guess it'd be Warhammer 30k? I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, that it's going to be its own system as well. So we saw the same thing with the Old World, which is coming from Cubicle 7 Games, which takes place 250 years before Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's also going to be a different role-playing system. So to me, it's kind of strange that we're going to have three separate Warhammer 40k-ish role-playing games, and all three of them are going to use different mechanical systems. Same thing with the Warhammer Fantasy. So we've got Age of Sigmar. We've got Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, which I am a huge fan of. And then we're going to have the Old World. Game Master's Hobby says, yes, it's 30K. Sean O'Donnell says, yeah, it is 30K. The book line is hugely popular, so they'd be crazy not to go for it. And Yeah, I would think because you're also looking at 10,000 years prior to the essential current setting for Warhammer 40k, that you would be looking at being able to really make it your own playground, because 10,000 years prior. So, I mean, come on, you can do whatever you want. So we are taking a look at different bastions of steel. So relics of war, we've got Castle Grigori. During the Gilead Crusade, the Absolvers made their initial landfall on the south pole of Gilead Primus. Even then, this region was little more than great swaths of uninhabited radioactive wastelands. These great irradiated plains were scarcely defended, and the Absolvers were able to establish an effective beachhead at this site, construct temporary fortifications, and shuttle down supplies. The facility soon became a logistical center as the invasion began to secure the planet. The war continued. The Absolvers fortified this beachhead, gradually building it into a defensive complex which served more than just logistical purposes. By the time the planet had been brought fully into the fold of the Imperium, the roots of Castle Grigori ran so deep that it was deemed suitable for permanent occupation. Millennia later, it stands as a bastion of Imperial power and the seat of the chapter's might within the Gilead system. So we are getting some plot hooks here. I don't believe we're going to have an adventure in here, but I would think that we will have some adventures coming out that will utilize the Absolvers. Just my guess. I know there is a new Wrath and Glory release. I think it's an adventure that just came out. I think it might have been today on DriveThruRPG. I will share news about it next week. So here we've got Kill Team. Got some important NPCs, it looks like. And then the Absolvers on campaign. Within the Warhammer 40,000 universe, role-playing as a transhuman super soldier is an exciting yet challenging condition to comprehend. Space Marine indoctrination into a chapter involves painful and strenuous medical and psychological conditioning processes, stripping them of what made them once human. However, despite their preternatural states and separation from mundane Imperial society, Space Marines must contend with the politics and secrecy at the heart of their chapter, as well as physical and political conflicts with other Imperial organizations. Every Space Marine chapter has its mysteries, shadowy goals, and interpretations of the Imperial Creed and Imperial law, and the Absolvers are no different. So here we get a discussion of Tier 5, because the tiers determine the kind of power level of both the player characters as well as their adversaries. So Tier 5 is new. So it's talking about what kind of boosts you make. It's like the Tier 4. And there we go. So that is a look inside Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory Vow of Absolution from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. Very nice. I will have a review of this in the not too distant future. Sweet. Very nice. Very nice. All righty then. So that was just kind of a peek inside, kind of give you an idea of the Wrath and Glory lineup from Cubicle 7 Games. Once again, as I mentioned, I am not necessarily a wealth of knowledge as far as Warhammer 40k. I've got a little bit to it. Some discussion of the books again. The Eisenhorn books are a good entry point to 40k. I actually started listening to the first one in audiobook. And they're probably going to be what Amazon uses for the 40K series with Henry Cavill. Boy, that came close to not happening. It was like, didn't they only have a day or two to finally go forward? Otherwise, they were going to, nope, not going to happen. Pete Stracklet says they can imagine they've kept Citadel and Vallejo paints booming for years. Any miniatures company out there, not only Games Workshop, there are a lot of miniatures companies out there that are pretty big that, you know, the average person, average gamer, I guess we'll say, isn't real familiar with. So Warlord Games as a great example. Warlord Games has a lot of various different miniatures games like Bolt Action and Hail Caesar, Black Powder. And they've got loads and loads of miniatures. Their miniatures tend to be much friendlier in price than Games Workshop too. So that's something to keep in mind. But you've got Weird. Weird also has the Malifaux setting, which always looks kind of cool to me. I wouldn't mind kind of dabbling in that because it looks pretty interesting. I like the sculpts as well. So there are loads of miniatures companies out there. Reaper, gosh, Reaper's been around forever, and they are really not necessarily affiliated with any particular miniature system, although they used to. I don't think they still do. They used to have their own fantasy rules system called Warlord, but it was like a core book, and that was it. So, Christopher Lundgren says, man, paints have gone up in price. Couldn't find any starter paint sets cheap. Just getting back into painting. I have heard good and bad about Army Painter paints. My nephew was going to pick some up, and I said, you might want to double check. I want to look into that because I have heard kind of a mixed bag with those. I would probably, I usually point people, Reaper's got their paint line. You got Vallejo paints, which are very, very well regarded, but pricey also. So there you go. All right. So that is it for tonight. Yes. As I mentioned, I'll be doing a review of the Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum starter set this weekend. So stay tuned for that. Jose Fernandez says they use Army paints for their minis. They've got nothing bad to say about them. I'll be the first to point out, I have actually sat there and I have used apple barrel paints from Walmart. Yep. And actually thinned them with airbrush paint solution. Because, you know, I don't know what they are now, but they were like 89 cents. And yes, they tend to be thicker. So that's why you use that airbrush paint thinner, a couple of drops, mix that up. It's been a long time since I painted minis, though. I miss it. I used to just find it very relaxing, especially when I'd be painting 15 millimeter American Civil War, Union and Confederate forces. Just have a movie on. I would have 10 little 15 mils glued to a popsicle stick and just doing an assembly line on them. Okay, pants. Oh, here you go, pants. Pants. Boots. All the boots. Sarah D says their oldest nephew just decided to jump into minis for Warhammer 40k. She wished them luck. Yeah. They got to have a budget. They really got to have a pretty solid budget to jump on into Games Workshop stuff. All right. So once again, that's it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. because not only are you keeping me company, also keeping each other company as I'm going through the news and also flipping through, taking a peek at the book tonight. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,100 videos here on the channel. I really do appreciate it. All right, let's see. Chris Lundgren says they're going to be using Army Painter. It's what their wife bought for them. They had a ton of paints, but they all dried up. It's an old trick. If you've got them in like little pots or whatever, if you can, flip them upside down when you're not using them. Helps those paints last. Of course, if you get them in like an eyedropper kind of bottle, you're out of luck. Anyway, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. If you got time, please appease the YouTube algorithm gods and leave a comment on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because if you do subscribe, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. We'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Dungeons & Dragons 5.5 Monster Manual from Wizards of the Coast. Yes. Kind of surprised how many people are agreeing with my assessment of the Monster Manual. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. All right. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back next Tuesday. And as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. I forgot to hit that, huh? Ring that bell!